What is the biggest misconception in the modern world when it comes to trauma?
I feel like people think trauma is overt, it's big, it's capital letter T, but that's only what we understand as an incident like a car accident
Mhm.
or maybe an assault or something awful of that nature. So a lot of people think that that's what trauma is. So they might dismiss their own traumatic experiences because they don't understand the fullness of what it can look like. So I like to think about trauma as capital letter T and small letter t. Small letter t traumas are things like emotional neglect. For example, let's say you grow up in a family that is misattuned to your needs. They're not providing you with safety. They're not providing you with the love, the connection, the play, the spontaneity. And so you're missing out on that. And as a child, that may seem insignificant to you and me, but as a child, that's a lot.
Mm.
That's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to cope with. And you're missing out on what you need for full development. So people misunderstand trauma because they think it's just capital letter T and not all the other stuff.
What is the cost of missing out on that and having unmet needs as a child? How does that diffuse into your adult life?
I think when you start to get to know what are the missing, the unmet needs, the ways that I was not taken care of, loved, connected, all of the ways that I missed out on these things that are so important for me. When you start to understand that, you start to see where the wounds are. And when you know where the wounds are, then you can pay attention to it as an adult and begin to put love into that or put attention into it in terms of healing, seeking support, or understanding. Just having that level of awareness gives you a bigger handle on your life. A lot of the time, we have all of these invisible wounds that we carry with us.
Mm.
And what we don't realize is because they're invisible and we're not looking at them and we're not aware of them because we're not exploring what's going on with ourselves, we've developed ways of coping with them that we also don't understand.
Mhm.
So if I feel a sense of, let's say, abandonment, I was abandoned as a child and I feel a sense of abandonment in relationships, what I might do is I might become really needy and really clingy. And so instead of being able to have a secure attachment,
Yeah.
I learned that in order to keep love and have love, I must cling and I must be very, very needy. And so the wound is invisible. The coping mechanism forms to support you because you didn't develop healthy coping or you didn't learn new ways of relating to yourself and to others. And then it creates all of this stuff that's going on in your life and you wonder what's going on. And, you know, if it repeats long enough, you get used to it and you call it a life. And that's really sad. I think that's a tragedy of it because a lot of people come to us thinking that that's what life looks like. I know I felt that way for many years. I didn't even know that I was experiencing complex PTSD and that the ways that it was showing up and manifesting in my life were not really normal until I was sitting down in my psychology university doing a class and they played this documentary and I remember just watching it and going, that's my life. This is me. But we're learning about it as a you know, quote unquote disorder. But I didn't feel that it was, you know, I felt seen in that moment, that the way I was feeling, there was a label for it and I could do something about it. So it gave me a roadmap to work with it. So I guess where I'm going with that is when you know and when you can give it enough time and attention to be able to explore yourself and discover yourself more deeply, then you can develop patterns and healthy habits and ways of relating to yourself, others, and the world that's actually conducive to the kind of life that you want.
How does one shine a light on these subconscious blockers? It's nearly like you're not even holding the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Driving
You're in the
through.
passenger.
You're in the
Sometimes
passenger
you're in the
seat.
boot. Yeah.
In the boot.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the boot. Obviously, there's various different points on the spectrum of trauma, and
Yeah.
no one person is going to be the same. But how would you start the process of shining a light on these subconscious blockers?
Yeah. I mean, firstly, you don't have to do it alone and you shouldn't have to do it alone. We're too close to our stuff. And, you know, I have a psychologist and I've been in therapy for over 12 years on and off, given the where I'm at and what I'm doing. So if your psychologist has a psychologist, you can also use a psychologist. It's okay. I think when we're too close to our stuff, we can't see it clearly. But having somebody that can pull that away and support you in observing it, understanding it, making sense of it. And then you have this buy-in, this commitment to wanting to change this, because you start to see clearly how it's got its tentacles on you, right? And it's manipulating how you feel, how you think, how you behave. And of course, then once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so the desire to want to change grows. And the therapeutic process is now really gaining some momentum. And that's when we start to make progress, because when it's invisible, you don't necessarily know or care. When you start to see it and you become aware of it, the drive to want to change becomes really strong.